Hi guys, this is going to be a VR to the Bumbling Piper. But first, my housekeeping. I've got my Hobbitshire pipe, my favourite pipe that I've got next to the Nording pipe that I've got. I really love long pipes. And in it I'm smoking Hobbit's weed. I'm going to have to find a recipe for that because I don't think we can get it in England, and I've fallen in love with it. It tastes beautiful. Right. The Bumbling Piper asked us who was our favourite author and what's our favourite book. Well, that's really difficult. If you see Tim's response, you'll know that when he was little, I used to read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings to him and his sister, and I'd do all the voices as well, including Gollum. We even had a little boy in the street one day put his head round the corner and saw my son and daughter sat next to Carolyn as she was reading, and he just walked in and sort of sat on her knee and said, "Nobody ever reads to me at home," which brought tears to our eyes. And as much as I love the member of the Inklings in the, Lewis and Tolkien and their friends, my favourite author, well, it has to be 2 or 3, because they've all been involved in the same series of books. That's Frank Herbert and his son and the Dune series. Not just with the original starting book, Dune, but with all the books his sons added to lead up to Dune and to take over when the original series finished. I try and read it about once every 2 or 3 years, because it's now got to a lot of books to read. But I think it's one of the best stories of a made-up world and worlds that there has been. I know Tolkien's good, and he's good with his language and that, but he was an English professor, and his books show that in the way they're written and in the style and the real cleverness of them. And I love him for that, and I love the books. But Dune is an ordinary science fiction writer who's managed to create something wonderful, and I think very relevant today, with his Fremen and their beliefs and their challenge to the established view and the established system. And I love all the different guilds in the book. The Bene Gesserit priesthood, the women, the Mentats, and the Suk doctors, and the great houses. So that's what I would have to choose. And it's difficult, really, because there are so many other books that I could have chosen. Before I went to college, we had a large sitting room, which was books on each and every wall from ceiling to floor. So it was rather like a great library, and we claimed that we'd read most of them. But now I just read my Kindle. And if the book isn't on Kindle, then I don't read it because I've grown used to using an electronic reader. I'm going to end with a joke. A man was taking his wife, who was pregnant with twins, to the hospital when his car went out of control and crashed. And when he regained consciousness, he saw his brother, who was a relentless world-class practical joker, sitting at his bedside. And he asked his brother how his wife was, and his brother replied, "Don't worry, everybody's fine, and you've got a son and a daughter." But the hospital was in a real hurry to get the birth certificates filed, and since both you and your wife are unconscious, I named them for you. And the bloke thinks, "Oh no, what's he done now?" and said with trepidation, "Well, what did you name them?" The brother replied, "I named the little girl Denise." And the husband, revived, said, "That's a pretty name. What did you come up with for my son?" The brother replied, "De nephew."